the LA lifestyle would have been like having a kale salad. We would have like laughed about that. It probably was on TV and comedy shows about how sort of ridiculous that was. And we were like one of, if not the first cold pressed juice business in the UK. Taste was the big thing and still is for me. Like if it tastes amazingly, so much better than Tropicana, Innocent, any of the other things, now people can be bought into the idea.
And welcome back to another exciting episode of Catch-Ups in My Kitchen with me, Georgie Simmons, host of the podcast. This podcast is about all things food, health and wellness, and in my kitchen this week, I am joined by Ed Foy, who is the co-founder and CEO of Press. Now, Press was predominantly a juice brand and is now more of a health brand. So I wanted to talk to Ed about how Press began, which was all in America. So Ed spent a lot of time in New York, and his co-founder Georgie spent a lot of time in LA. And the LA lifestyle then was very much green juices, kale salads, hot shots, and they kind of wanted to bring that lifestyle over to the UK. And I think although cold pressed juices and hot shots are more normal now, it's definitely not the norm, but we are getting to that point where we are really investing in our health and we want to opt for a green juice. We would like hot shots for our immunity. So I wanted to talk to Ed about the journey. And also I wanted to talk to him about juice cleanses. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I love a juice cleanse. I probably do them twice a year. I think they give my gut a real reset. So I wanted to talk to Ed about the benefits of a juice cleanse and also his overall health and wellness journey. So there's so much goodness in this episode. I think you're going to love it. As always, please keep supporting us. Click that follow and subscribe button. Share the episode with a friend if you think they would find it interesting. It means so much to me and it really helps the podcast grow. So thank you so much in advance and enjoy the episode. Ed, welcome to my kitchen. How are you?
Lovely, great. Done the gym.
Amazing.
Had a coffee.
Loved it.
Decaf coffee.
Decaf coffee, we'll get to that.
Yeah, everything happy.
I love
Good time.
it.
Thank you for having me.
You're
Lovely
so
kitchen.
welcome. So welcome. Do you mind giving a quick elevator pitch, who you are and what you do?
That wasn't in the brief.
No, it wasn't in the brief.
Okay, fine. I'm Ed Foy. I was one of the co-founders and now the CEO of Press. It's a health food business. We started out in cold pressed juices. Before that, I was always in consumer goods, worked at L'Oreal, Jack Wills, of all things. Worked in America for 5 years.
Amazing.
In Nashville, Tennessee, built a massive restaurant there. Loads of different things.
Amazing.
And now doing this, 10 years in.
10 years, we're going to get to that because I feel like the landscape has changed so much in the 10 years.
Yeah.
So to kick things off, we have a quick fire round. This also wasn't in the brief.
No, that's fair. I'm ready for it.
Cook in or eat out?
We talked about this before.
We did.
And I'm going with both, but I'm going to say cook in actually, because recently what I have noticed is as time becomes a bit more precious, actually, whether it's a date or whether it's just catching up with a friend, actually, if you have someone over and you cook, you're talking while you cook, you really talk about things in a much more like significant way. Restaurants are brilliant and great to be sociable and all those things, but I feel like I've done a lot of that in life. We all, if you're lucky enough to go out a lot, and actually you get a lot more out of people and you have a more engaged time when you cook some food and you chat while you're doing it. So I'm cooking actually now.
I completely agree with you.
I'm not saying it's good food, but I'm still cooking.
Yeah, it's just more intimate conversations. Yeah, I agree. Favourite restaurant in London?
I think Randall and Auburn on Brewer Street is pretty great. It's like a seafood restaurant. Yeah, it's pretty great. I'm like not sort of like elevated foodie person. I'm always ambience and then the food needs to be good enough sort of thing.
Yeah, ambience first.
It's like a seafood restaurant. All of it is high counter, and so you're always at the level the waiters and waitresses or waiters is, I don't know if that's gender neutral, but like as in, and so the energy is really great in there, and it's really small, but it's awesome, and the staff are always there, the same people, they're brilliant. So, and the food is amazing. However, I do want to add something that is incredible, but I don't want Soho House to figure out this. So Dean Street Townhouse, which I think is actually amazing, whereas eating at Soho House, okay, and at Soho House, so they have a fish finger dish that is, I think, is £12, and it is like a mega amount of delicious fish fingers and chips for 12 quid in Dean Street Townhouse. unbeatable for value.
Oh my god!
I spend that much at McDonald's if I go to McDonald's.
Okay, that's a good recommendation.
It's
I've
unreal.
also not been to Dean Street Townhouse.
That is also on my list of favourite restaurants. If you eat at the bar there, just really nice. The atmosphere is amazing. Like, it's really good. The food is good. Good energy.
Okay,
Yeah.
Good
I know
recommendation.
that those aren't innovative answers, but
no, but they're good.
Randall and Auburn is.
That's a good one.
That's a niche one.
What's your go-to Deliveroo?
Nando's.
Yeah.
It's just because it's reasonably at the healthy end of the spectrum.
I get that.
So delivering in is usually quite super carb heavy. Like, if I'm going to go for a pizza, I'm going to hit Domino's just because I feel like I've really grew up with a lot of Domino's eating. Yeah. So I still hark back to that with a lot of jalapenos, but no longer.
No longer. That's another thing
spice in my diet.
We're going to get onto. Yeah. It's quite interesting. Go-to cuisine.
Spicy Asian.
Or not so spicy now.
Yeah, now milky Asian, just bland Asian food. Asian's a bit pejorative too, so like I would say Thai, spicy Thai food is pretty unbeatable.
What is your go-to fridge or cupboard staple, which isn't the basics?
Comté cheese.
Oh my god, that's a niche one.
Oh, love having just a little block of Comté that you can just slice off and just like very thin slices, but like 1,000 of them rather than, that's how you get through the whole block in one go.
Fine, okay.
But yeah, like Comté cheese a lot.
Nice one.
Yeah. And Sour Patch actually as well.
Oh yeah, okay.
They sit up in the bit on the right.
So we've got your fridge staple.
Up here, Sour Patch.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. And what's your favourite dish to cook at home?
Limited range. I will be honest. We're not pulling from a huge variety. Steak and vegetables, probably. Yeah. It's pretty basic.
But
anyone
still,
who ever comes around to my house, just expect that. If we're gonna, and if you're plant-based, then we can go heavy on veg and maybe something tofu-based. But like,
love it.
There's not a lot of range.
Fine. Okay. Nice. Okay. I want to start asking questions. I want to start with a quote.
Yes.
Because I feel like press is very much embodies, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle.
Sure.
And I feel like your journey started out in LA, where it's definitely like the lifestyle that probably got you onto the press journey. Yeah. Am I right? Do you mind touching on like your time in LA, what you were seeing, the vibes out there, and how you kind of wanted to bring that over to the UK?
Yeah, so Georgie was in LA actually, my co-founder at the beginning, and I was in New York, but I was spending time there with Georgie as well. And originally this whole thing was actually Georgie at the beginning. But the lifestyle bit of it, and actually whether this was East Coast or West Coast, it was the same in the States, just because basically it was that people were investing in like wellness in a 360 sense as part of their entire life program and social life in a way that the UK is only now just coming on board with. And so it was, everyone's very busy, and obviously LA has its own vibe with the creative side of things, LA Hollywood side of things. But essentially it was that they had already engaged in the fact that going to the gym kept you in good shape, but also understood that diet was 70% of the battle. And so I think like 10 years ago, we were probably making a lot of fun of LA. The LA lifestyle would have been like having a kale salad. We would have like laughed about that. It probably was on TV and comedy shows about how sort of ridiculous that was, and we would have laughed about celebrities doing that. And whilst at the one end, yes, it can be a bit sort of over the top, the truth is actually that's all reflective of like, whilst at the celebrity end of things are always get a bit crazy, but like in general, actually, it was just eating healthily, eating at places that served healthy food, making that a part of your lifestyle, talking about tofu or leafy greens or whatever it became a cool attribute of part of your lifestyle and something to be admired, something to be engaged and talked about. And so exercise in the UK 10 years ago was definitely here. Cool gyms were starting to be a thing, or elevated gyms where the whole process was joyful and there were like nice resources, the showers were lovely or whatever. That's come a long way. And also it was burning the candle at both ends, working very hard, but finding a way to get the right nutrition into your body so that you didn't feel terrible all the time. And so I think that's what was going on. And we've talked about this before, but as soon as a trend, and take trend for just meaning, something that starts to become popular versus like something that's faddy, becomes part of people's real day-to-day life and becomes something to be admired or something that's even like attractive in a person, that's when you start to like break the back of a new thing that's kind of coming on board and happening. That.
No, amazing. I think it's so true. And I think that LA or America was definitely ahead of that. And we are now definitely embodying a lot more of that now. Like taking like ginger shot in the morning, having a juice. Like that's all, I wouldn't say normal in the UK, but it's more...
It's,
normal
it's
in the
becoming
UK.
And that's the thing as well, is just, it's London centric, because we're in the industry, because we talk about it a lot. It's easy to get into the echo chamber of like, oh yeah, this is everywhere. It's still very much at the top of the leading edge, where the people who already were interested in this and engaging in it. It's like the first people who to get an iPhone. You have the first adopters, then you have the the middle, and then everyone else follows. Like that's just the way that things that are new happen. People who are bold and into new things start the process. So but it's absolutely, it always starts with the news, right? The media is who picks it up first. And so one of the weird parts of that is I've seen in the last 10 years, when we first started, we were like one of, if not the first cold pressed juice business in the UK. And we kind of started with cold press. We'll come on to that as well. But like, what's amazing is the news was already here. So what you have is the newspapers, and it was more heavily printed towards print then than it is towards digital now. Like that's obviously changed. But people were already talking about cold pressed juice. It's just that it takes 10 more years before anyone actually buys it. And so because the news flow of media happens very quickly, and we all buy into these things. They're in vogue. They're in like interesting publications like the weekend supplements. But actually it takes a very long time for that to move towards mass consumption, towards supermarkets where it's even accessible, both in probably in price, but also in terms of just where is it and can I buy it? So
I think accessibility is key. I think a lot of people think that it's a luxury to kind of like have your hot shot in the morning and your juice, and it's kind of made to be this kind of like bougie lifestyle. Actually, it's like, let's strip it back. Like it's not, doesn't have to be this kind of like fancy lifestyle. It can just be like simple as like having your greens in the morning and having ginger and all of that kind of stuff. So you had the idea to kind of start the cold pressed juice brand. How did you even go about doing that? So you see it in LA, you see it happening, you're like, okay, there's a movement here. We're not having it in the UK. Let's be one of the first brands to do so. How do you then do that?
So we brought back, and again, I just stress, Georgie was sort of the first part of this, and I kind of ended up helping her with the idea and then sort of joining the business, but was, very much there in the US when we were talking about and understanding what we were trying to aim for. So actually this was a case of like buying these two very heavy little machines called Norwalk juicers, putting them in a suitcase and bringing them back to the UK. And then I had finished the project I was doing in Nashville, Tennessee, which is where I was living at the time. And we were like, look, we need to see if people are going to like this product. So the first thing we did was made juices and then invited a bunch of friends to the basement of a pub to just taste the juices and give us feedback on different flavors. And that is kind of, a nice starting point, because you just start to engage. Again, the real problem is when you have an idea, and I do see this, what do I call it? Platinum toothpick syndrome, which is basically sometimes you have an idea about something because it's relevant to your life. That doesn't mean that it can be a business. It might be something that's so specific to you or not enough people that actually you'll ever, even if you're the number one in the world, and that's the platinum toothpick, if you're the number one platinum toothpick seller, brand, company in the world, that may not still be enough for a business, because not that many people need platinum toothpicks. But you may have identified that toothpicks aren't strong enough and therefore you need a platinum one.
I had that exact thing.
So, and a lot of people, and that's some of that is the part of the exciting bit of being a first-time entrepreneur, but you kind of want to be a first-time entrepreneur and not a second time, or do a second time on the back of a success. We'd all want that. It's not always controllable. But anyway, so the talking to customers, or just friends, and doing that first version is really important, because it does just open your eyes. And in any business ongoing, Amazon's the most famous for it, or Zappos, they're so customer centric. You have to be listening to customers, talking to them. So we did it in a pub in the basement. Everyone kind of thought, and taste was the big thing, and still is for me. If it tastes amazingly, so much better than Tropicana, Innocent, any of the other things, now people can be bought into the idea.
This episode is sponsored by Zuki. If, like me, you're interested in supplements and love to feel your best, then you need to try Zuki's range of liposomal supplements. They have been clinically proven to provide 4 times the amount of absorption compared to conventional supplements, which means you feel the benefits faster. They also come in a delicious single-serve sachet, which means you can look forward to taking your supplements every day. My current favourite is vitamin B12, which tastes just like strawberry. If you're interested in trying Zuki, they have given all catch-up listeners a chance to receive a free taster pack. This includes vitamin C, D, B12, collagen, and turmeric. To receive your free pack, click the link in the show notes. Thank you so much, Zuki, for sponsoring the podcast. Now let's get back to the episode.
And it doesn't need necessarily delicious, but it tastes right. It tastes like with the greens or the ginger, it tastes like visceral. That's what cold pressed juice is. And I think of it as anything else. It's like sous videing your meat so you finish it. If it tastes better, customers will engage.
100%.
And it has to have that feeling. So we did that, lots of good feedback. And then we rented a territorial army kitchen down in Brixton by the hour. And we made juices on these 2 little machines, which were just like hellish to try and make any volume, just like the slowest process ever. And then we sold the juices we got an old vintage bathtub, like a clawfoot bathtub, put it on wheels, painted it, put the logo on the side, and sold juices out of Old Street Tube Station in the underpass. And just like loads of people were into it. And I worked out the margins broadly and was like, wow, people are willing to pay £6 for like a large bottle of green juice, or, and it was amazing. And that was everyone from guys who were working on the construction around Old Street to businessmen to people coming from their yoga or exercise classes who were clearly already into the entire space. But what was amazing is clearly everyone thinking, I do need more health. And that's like polemic everywhere. People do know that they need more health. The question is how much of a compromise on my time and enjoyment am I going to have to, and cost, am I going to have to invest in it to make it part of my life?
Amazing. So you really proved concept before you went all in,
absolutely.
Which I think is so key.
Yeah, totally. And some things like, you kind of know, but like it's key. You just learn so much every time you go and actually sell stuff because you learn what the pain points are.
Fully.
So it was good. It was a hateful time actually because we were like juicing in the night and then selling in the day and but
it's all part of the fun.
Yeah.
Ish. So what is a cold press juice? Because I feel like
no one knows.
No one actually knows.
No one actually cares in the UK, weirdly. In America, it's like a whole vibe. It's a kind of respected category. And the frustration in the UK is there was a company called Cold Press that had a brand that came out. Someone smart, or not that smart because the company's gone now, and I'm glad because if I'm honest, I hate them because they named it cold press. There's no regulation in the category. And it was just like crap apple juice in a bottle basically. And they basically ruined any credibility around this category being a thing. And so, but what cold press is, getting back to that. So it's really important also to recognize that if people don't know what it is, you've got this game of education and it's really hard to grow a business whilst also trying to educate a lot of people. So then you have to go, okay, what are the underlying factors that cold press means? So I'm not saying necessarily, so maybe I'll say cold press, but what is it I'm giving you as a value proposition, right? So that's the thing. So we're looking at packaging at the moment. So what is cold press? So let's start with 2 things, I think, is nutrition and flavor. So basically cold pressing is as close as you can get to pressing, not blending, and we can come on to that, in your kitchen, but being able to grab it on the go or keep it in a fridge and it lasts for say up to 40 days without going off and retaining like 95% of the same nutrition that you would have had you just done that in your kitchen. And pressing juice in your kitchen is intense and really not fun.
No.
Even blending your juice, usually the blender ends up under the counter, like next to the waffle maker or whatever it is. But so cold pressing is basically you take fresh fruit and vegetables, you chill everything down to like 2 degrees. The idea being that anything that's chilled, just as in your fridge, you're basically slowing down the degradation of nutrients. You're slowing down decomposition and you're slowing down bacterial and pathogen growth, like the stuff that makes you sick. But mostly the idea is this is about retention of nutrition. So you basically, like olives, cold pressing, you just press rather than blend. And then the question that always comes out is like, okay, so if that's true, then how do you keep it for 45 days? So that is a process called HPP, high pressure processing. So that is why it's different. But in the end, also for me, most of it is the flavor. Like you end up with just like a really delicious product, like our celery juice or the green juices. You can taste all the notes. You really enjoy it. It tastes fresh. It tastes natural. And like for me, not everyone loves very green brassic juices, but when you taste it, it should still taste like fresh.
100%.
And so I think that's what we've always focused on. So yeah, nutrition and then ultimately flavor, like you know, and then so.
And then you touched on the fiber. No worries. You touched on the fiber.
Yeah.
So obviously a lot of people are like, oh no, smoothies are better because you're kind of blending and you're packing it with the fiber. So what are the health benefits to juice compared to the health benefits to smoothie? Obviously they're different products, but like
but they sit in the same category.
So
so the next part about why cold pressed juice is quite magic is because you've taken out the fibrous part of the fruit and the veg. You're just getting, this is the intracellular liquid, right, which is what has all of the like essential, the vitamins, the enzymes, all of the key components that ultimately are what your body absorbs and uses for whether it's support for bone growth, bone density, or immune support. So what you're getting in here is like more. You could not fit, you know when they always go, it's 15 kilos of juice per bottle, right? There's like there's quite a funny, do you know the Foster sisters?
No,
they're like two podcasters and they've just got this show, Nobody Wants This, which has come out anyway. They wrote it, but anyway, they do a very funny thing called shit juicers say, and it's basically like this piss take of like people who are on juice cleanses, and that they just, it's old, but it's very funny, and like I think we need to do our own version of that. But you're getting about half a kilo of green vegetables in this bottle, and just the nutritional rich content part of that. So whilst yes, you absolutely are losing the fiber, the key is, in order to have, you couldn't blend and put in a bottle all of that. If you did that, it would fit in like 2 liters worth of bottle and you wouldn't be able to drink it. So the idea is like, particularly in the green vegetables, but everywhere else, you're getting the really high density of nutritional value. So like this is probably like, 2.5, 3 times more than you can get in any other format. Smoothies also awesome, like, and again with all this stuff we have to think about sugar and sugar content, like that's a big part of the conversation too. But yeah, smoothies, and then with smoothies you can have high fiber because banana usually goes into smoothie. You need something to thicken it, or protein or whatever. So yeah, that's why the difference, just higher concentration of vitamins, enzymes, key minerals.
On sugar, so this is a thing obviously with juices, it's like high sugar, but there is obviously Tropicana where, you have high sugar, but then there's press, and like I would say you don't have high sugar. Or what is sugar? Because actually on this...
Such a deep question.
I know, because I'm seeing on Instagram a lot at the moment, and it's so bad. It's like what I eat in a day, doing no sugar.
Right.
And they start their morning with like some protein. Literally. They start the day with like some protein yogurt, dark chocolate chips, and I'm like, okay, some people would be like, there's sugar all over that. But then I'm thinking that they're thinking sugar as like sweets and like added sugar, whereas those probably have like natural sugars. So what?
We can get into this,
is, so I'm guessing there's sugar in terms of like Tropicana, then there's like sugar in terms of natural sugar.
I think in the end, mostly sugar is kind of made equal, is the truth. Like, it's the same compound, like, it's a complex carbohydrate essentially, or a simple one actually. But no, I think there is, so it's all, I mean, there's 2 parts of this, which is like Zoe and all of these like, this whole thing around gut health, like, and rapidity of digestion and processing of sugar is become a big part of this, like blood sugar spikes, right, is a whole new area that is coming. It's not a new area of science, but it's a new area of like just the general population getting involved in it. And so in general, what you're trying to avoid at any point is to stop your blood sugar spiking too high, because it's not good for your body. And like if you do that at an extreme level, that's what leads to type 2 diabetes. So like your body has to deal with this. It means it has to upregulate insulin. If you're doing, we wouldn't have evolutionarily, like, living out in the wilderness, like we wouldn't have had access to sugar in the way we do today. Like a delicious bar of like whole nut dairy milk, for example, might have eaten a good chunk last night. Like you just wouldn't, you'd have berries and like you just wouldn't find stuff that's that rich in it. So firstly, there's processed sugar is absolutely more bioavailable when you eat it, so it spikes your blood sugar, and the density is so much higher than in fruit and vegetables. Completely. So chocolate, for example, an easy one is, or like gummies or whatever. So So the key is actually even things like sequencing your food in terms of like if you eat your protein, vegetables before your sugar, you're actually you end up slowing down the process of absorption. You end up lowering the spikes of your insulin production and your blood sugar level. So that is also just a process that everyone's starting to engage in the conversation. Makes me genuinely wonder about whether or not historically dessert was at the end because of that, as in innately, whether people noticed like, you know,
That's
all of
so
those
true.
cultural habits that come out of health reasons, like, you know, breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, and a pauper or whatever. I can't
Completely.
remember,
No, I think that's right.
something like that. But the question was come back to sugar. So look, the key with us was we've always thought, look, people are going to drink juice because they like it. You know, mostly it's like, why do you drink soft drinks? We drink soft drinks because we like it. It's not because we have to. You could just have water. Like my mum used to always be like, just have a glass of water. It was never as exciting or enjoyable. So what we always did was we said, we are going to have juices that have no sugar at all in them, like barring lemon, and which has the traces of it. Even green vegetables have pure green veg have sugar in them, but like we mean as low as you can possibly have and still be like eating stuff or drinking stuff. So we'd have those, and we'd have them all the way to the other end of the spectrum, which was like our berry boost, which has strawberries in, like, you know, it's strawberry, apple, lemon and mint. It's freaking delicious. Like, I mean, it's the most popular juice. Everyone loves it. You're getting the pectin from strawberries. You're getting vitamin C. There's loads of greatness in there. And my preference is that when someone is craving something sugary or a juice, then just make sure you're drinking the healthiest version of the thing you wanted in the first place versus a soft drink or Tropicana. And so I think it is about choice. We do all need to watch sugar. Absolutely. It's totally right that we should. But also we kind of want to enjoy ourselves. And then that's just, to me, is just offer the range. Like mostly in the office, I think most people drink more towards the lower sugar end because we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
But our most popular juices tend to be at the sweeter end because people see this as like a recreational moment that then has a health benefit attached. So
Yeah, no, completely.
Yeah.
And I want to touch on juice cleanses.
Yeah.
Because this is something that you guys offer and I love them.
Cool.
I've had them a few times now. So can you touch on the importance of a juice cleanse and why people should or may want to consider doing a juice cleanse?
Can I throw this back to you?
Yeah.
Which is, why have you done a juice cleanse in the past?
Okay, so I do a juice cleanse because sometimes I like to do them twice a year.
Love it.
And I like to do it kind of after more indulgent periods. So summer, you're eating out more, you're drinking more. And so
Big holiday in Saint-Tropez.
Big holiday in Saint-Tropez. You know, you're kind of giving your gut that rest and resetting it. And I think it's great for like skin, gut, digestion.
Sure.
And I just think it's I just think it's reset. Also, I think you can, a big one for me is I think also you can kind of like get in a habit of like, I need to eat now, and like I'm hungry when you're not actually that hungry. I think because maybe you're bored or you're thirsty.
Totally.
And I think when you're in summer and you're kind of socializing more, it's like, we've got lunch here, we've got dinner here.
It's a hobby.
Yeah.
It's a hobby.
It's an
not a
activity.
necessity. And that's okay because culturally eating is that.
Yeah. And I think with everything in life, whether it's exercise, whether it's your skincare routine, I think giving it a shake up is so, so good. And I try and do that with everything. So when it comes to like diet, I'm like, right, we need to have a big reset. And doing like a 3-day juice cleanse does test you. Like kind of afternoon of day 2, you're like, I could really do some like bite here or some food. Yeah. You want that texture, which we spoke about earlier. But I think it's good to kind of train yourself that actually like I am fine. Like this juice is, I'm not actually hungry. And I don't, with the juice cleanses, you're not hungry. There's so much liquid. Yeah. You're not actually hungry. You're kind of just probably thinking, oh.
You are peeing.
Yeah.
You're not hungry.
You're not hungry.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this could be, So for me, I do it just to kind of give everything a complete reset.
So that is the verbatim, the right answer. And I wrote answers to questions from before, like some of them. And I said, again, just split it into 2 parts. I think there's the physiological side and then there's a psychological side to this. Like, and that's mostly the case with anything with wellness, like anything where you're investing in yourself. Hang on, I'm going to get this up so I don't miss some bits. Hang on. So, yeah, here we go. So first of all, let's talk about liquid diet. So there is someone, a Japanese scientist focused around nutrition, human nutrition. This is like in the 90s, I think, or early 2000s, won a Nobel Prize for a study of basically liquid diets over, like, where you give your body a break, and ultimately that stimulates the body's like natural process for purging cells that essentially are either precancerous or cancerous, which we do all the time. That's a natural like process that happens in our bodies. And the whole point was your body goes into a different mode when you go onto a liquid diet. It starts to do things differently, and this is exactly the same thing as fasting. We're not really meant, if you look evolutionarily, like the current world in which we live. I studied evolutionary biology at university, and so know the basics of this, but we're not really evolving anymore because society has it's not the same as survival of the fittest. I mean, there's another version of that, but that probably might be linked to you're more likely to have children if you earn a lot, let's say, or whatever it might be. But if you were short-sighted in the old days, you would probably have been eaten, or been out competed for food or whatever it is. So if you go back, we weren't really living in existence until much, much later that was allowing us to eat 3 square meals a day and snack in between, because we were probably nomadic, all of those bits. So fasting is basically just going back and replicating the fact that you would have periods where you were not eating a lot, and it would allow your gut to regenerate. It would give your digestion a break. It would allow your gut bacteria to evolve in the way they should, or to multiply in the way they should, or self-regulate, the good and the bad gut bacteria. So all of those things are disrupted. Those natural processes are kind of disrupted by the way we live today. I mean, in a million different ways, right? We're not outside all the time, all that stuff. But if we just go on the nutrition side. So first of all, I'm forgetting the name of the process where we purge deleterious cells, or cells that aren't working. I will remember it. Anyway, so that's step one. Then you've got the other parts, which is basically giving your gut a break for 3 days, where it's actually just getting rid of all the stuff that you're eating. And we eat lots of foods that we never would have eaten, all these bits, but it gives your gut a break, and that allows your gut to regenerate cells, regenerate lining, rebalance. So I think that's part of it. There is a weight loss component that people want to lean towards. We obviously have always said, look, this is mostly, you will see some weight loss, that's just a fact, but some of it is just water weight, some of it's just food that you don't have in your body anymore. It's a nice springboard if you're going to try and hey, I'm going to go on a program, I want to be healthier, I want to get my body into a better body fat balance, and I think weight is a poor word. We come on to weight as opposed to body composition. So there is a weight loss component, but that's why we launched our nutrition and meal plans, because we were 3 to 5 days, maybe 7. Sometimes people do cleanses, is awesome. And again, it's mostly putting your body into a fasting state whilst delivering a shitload of nutritional value, enzymes, minerals, vitamins that you could never eat enough to get it in you, and nor would your body actually digest it. So I think the physiological side of this is those benefits are real and absolutely have an impact. It is quite extreme, again, which is why it's not something that we're saying do this for months. It's just not a thing. And so the secondary part of the psychology of it, which is, and we did an ad, we did a thing with, we have lots of customers who are in this thing called Press 60, which is our 60 people that we use as a customer face, they're all our community, and we use them to ask them questions, whether it's about packaging or what they think about food or whatever. And we had interviews with people, and you realize, particularly women but not exclusively, is how emotionally sensitive the issue of food is, full stop, and then body image and all these things. And hopefully we're moving away from that, because culturally we are hopefully progressing, but this is still a legacy of a generation of parents who, lots of parents, weirdly, lots of people had mums that were really weird about the way they were talking to their children about food, and their bodies, and we had people cry about this stuff, and it's so emotionally engaged. And so a feeling of loss of control sometimes is what is that bit where you're whatever it is, whether it's an addiction or not, but sugar is highly addictive, if you're in bad habits, actually the cleanse is this amazing fire break, in the sort of craziness of it all, where you just go, okay, I'm going to commit to something that's quite strenuous, going on a retreat, same sort of thing. We think of it as kind of an urban nutritional retreat. It's 3 days where you don't have to choose, so that's taken out of your hands. So that's gone. And then the second part is you are going to feel and see by the day 3, because of a combination of all of that nourishment, all of that hydration, which you're just getting, so your skin naturally starts to look better just because of that. And then essentially the body's process of of doing what it does when you're in fasting mode, you suddenly feel pretty freaking amazing. And you also have usually it takes honestly about 3 days where you start breaking those habits, and then your body, I've always found that you come off it and you kind of next thing you want is something healthy. And that's probably mostly psychological, but Yeah, it's a long answer again, sorry.
No, but I completely agree. I think it is really good. And again, you're not going to do it all the time.
Right, it's not the solve-all at all.
No.
We've never thought of it as that way. It's a springboard.
Yeah.
Like, it's a great way to recover from, like, some excesses in life. Like, it's cool. It just, like, it grounds you. You're just, this is what I'm going to do. And
yeah, definitely. And I also feel like I sleep really well during that time. And, like, I'm also really focused. I feel like it kind of, like, heightens everything.
Also, you realise how much time in the day you don't, like, you take up with thinking about food, what you're going to have for lunch,
100%.
then going and having lunch, then eating lunch, and then thinking about what you just ate.
Yeah.
Like,
This is one thing that I do, which might sound really controlling and really weird, but, like, talking of, like, the time thinking about food.
Yeah.
Like, on a Sunday, for example, or if I'm on the tube or whatever, like, towards the end of the week, I'll plan out all my meals for the following week, and I write it down in my notes.
Well done.
So then and it removes all that concentration on what I'm eating at night, because it's written down. And don't get me wrong.
Why do you do that?
Just because, so I'm plant-based.
Not why you.
Yeah.
Why are you this way?
Why do you do
not
that?
That way. Not yeah.
Because I think, because I'm plant-based, I think, like, diversity is so key. So I also
Big time.
don't.
Right. Yeah, you have to program. Like,
Yeah.
that's definitely true. If you are plant-based, you have to be more careful, mindful, demure.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I don't want to be, like, low on anything. Or and I've done blood tests in the past, and, like, I'm pretty on par with all my, like, levels. And everyone's like, do you take supplements? And I'm like, yeah, like vitamin D and, like, but other than that, no, I don't, like, heavily.
Vitamin D is the only one, right? Because if you're not outside all the time, not sun, but, like.
So, like, other than that, like, I don't heavily supplement, because I'm quite like, okay, I need to have, like, kale, basil, parsley, dill. I, like, rotate all the herbs and all of that kind of stuff.
How does someone do that? I mean, because I think that thing about nutrition is basically, and I never remember his name. I feel like his surname was Wolf or Fox, one of those.
Yeah.
Quadrupedal mammals in that family. Was basically like, look, eating well, apart from allergy, but even this kind of gets rid of it too, which is eat real food, mostly plants, not too much.
Yeah.
Like,
simple as,
It's kind of that, you know, and then
fully.
diversity factors into that, especially if you're fully plant-based. I did that for a year, and then I don't know why I slipped away from doing it. It's something I might go back to, but, like, try and be,
be more, like, plant dense. And I think that's
eat the rainbow, like that vibe, variety of colours.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. And also, I'm weird on food waste. Like, I hate wasting food. Like, chucking things away really bothers me. Don't know why.
Where does it bother you?
Just from, like, a
emotionally.
Yeah, and, like.
No, I mean, where emotionally does it bother you?
Fiscally?
Is it that?
Maybe.
Might be.
Yeah, maybe.
That's okay.
I just find it really, like,
it's wasteful.
It's wasteful.
What's
and
your
also,
family's attitude to it?
So weirdly, my mum is the same.
Right. That's
But also, she never was like, eat all your food. Like, we never really had that growing up.
No.
But, like, I will always eat all my food.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's this weird food waste thing.
She was very good at this. She made this happen. Yeah.
But by doing that on a Sunday, I kind of, like, removes.
Right down the week.
Yeah.
Same with outfits, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, I had a professor who did outfits 100%. For the week.
I'm not for the week. I'm probably, like, plan the day the night before. Like,
okay,
I'm not that. Yeah, because every day the weather changes, you know, you can't.
You've got to stay nimble.
Yeah.
Stay hungry.
Exactly. But also, I think with writing down all your meals for the week, I do.
Well, not hungry in this case.
Well, not hungry. Exactly. But nourished. I also think that you can, there's flexibility within that. Like, if a plan comes up, I'm not going to be like, well, I can't do that because I'm supposed to be making, like, pasta
right, and
tonight.
that's a big part of that, which is also not giving yourself shit when you, like, fall off. Not fall off, it's not even falling off. When you decide to change what you want to do, and then the key is, the word should is an inner monologue word, is a, like, very pervasive and dangerous word. I think of it like, if, like, for example, I'm going to eat all of these meals this week and not, you know, whatever. Well, when you do it, it's like going to the gym. You go, oh, I should go to the gym. And then if you go to the gym, because you use the word should, you went to the gym, but you should have done it anyway. So it's not an up achievement. And if you don't go, then you're like, fuck, I should have gone to the gym. And now you just think, oh, I should have done it. And so actually it's like, I choose to go or I don't choose to go. But either way, I'm not going to destroy myself one way or the other.
Fully. And I also think, like, the biggest killer in life is stress. And, like, stressing yourself out because you're not going by the routine that you wrote down on Sunday, like, it's not a big deal. Like, it can move, but just having that in place just really helps, and it does, like, remove another decision in the day that you just don't have to make because you've already made them all. So love that. I want to touch on press and how you diversify. So obviously we touched on the juice cleanses and then you on the juices as a whole, but then you mentioned
which is where you started,
but now you're kind of becoming more of, like, a health brand. So touch on this decision and, like, what you've introduced into the range.
So that kind of came out of our community talking to us about it. You know, like, we've always been we started out as a juice bar business, but we also had breakfasts. Like we made protein porridge. Like you could eat with us essentially, and it was just listening to customers really. And that's why I loved having retail. I've always loved retail because I'm very Labradory American. I like strangers and I like talking to strangers. So it's like I find that joyful. So not everyone does. I think there's like a normal curve of sociability. I think I'm like lunatic levels here, and then like one of my best friends is totally other end of the spectrum, which is why it's always worked well. But like talking to customers and listening, I think that was the greatest privilege of the like early stages. Was you'd watch people come in feeling shitty, like not feeling good necessarily about anything, and then you give them one part of their day or their week or their life that feels nourishing and positive. That was like at the time was green juices or doing a juice cleanse that you've recommended, and they come in every day, pick up their juices and go to the office or whatever. It made them feel special, that they were investing in themselves, especially back then when it wasn't that common. It gave them control over an area of their life that like suddenly felt really positive, and then that leads into so many other parts of your life. So like, so we listened to the customer because the customer was like, we love you guys. Soup was the first one we did. It felt like the most natural next step. So we developed a soup range. We always start with doing everything ourselves, like make it from scratch. And then we start to think about how do we make that at a more commercial level, who could make it for us. Like, we used to make everything ourselves. Like we now don't make anything ourselves. Like we just work with the best people because we just, otherwise we'd be building factories, and I'm not that good at that. That's not our expertise is in the nutrition side of things and product. So started with soups, super high protein, super low, green on all the indicators, or green, maybe I think there's one amber in there, and all the right macros. And then we've moved from there, and again, so that was to do winter cleanses. So we have soup cleanses, so you do a combination of juices and soups, so you still have that liquid diet component. It still gets all the value, but also it's winter, so you want to be a bit warm, we all need that. So we've got a range of 5 of those. They're absolutely awesome. Like we're actually looking to change the packaging into a bottle so it's more carryable. So you can kind of throw it into a bag, and because it's in like a pot at the moment. So anyway, and then we moved from there into this last year, and we tried it once 2 years ago, and then we sort of started it, didn't feel like we had it right, paused, came back to it. And so now we have a range of ready meals that use this, just like cold press. It is the same like evolution in technology. No one in the UK is using this. It's Swedish technology that I think originates in Korea, and basically it's called MikVac. I've told them they need to name it something sexier, but like currently that's the name. Anyway, we call it like steam fresh technology. Basically, you have ready meals that are prepped in a very specific way with a specific cooking process that combines like microwave and vacuum. Basically, everything we do is clean label. They're delicious. It stays fresh for like up to 90 days, which is completely obscene. You're sort of like naturally you go like, oh my god, that can't be good for you, but it is. Like after 90 days, you get al dente asparagus. The flavors and the textures are amazing. And then again, if stuff doesn't taste good, people don't want to come back and do it and make it part of their lives. So our original premise was high protein, plant-based, clean label. And so then we found this technology, and we're like, oh my god, this means that people can have this in their fridge, and if they don't decide to eat it that day, it'll stay there, and it'll be totally stable, and they'll still have the same. It retains high nutrition. It's like you can see the difference between normal ready meals and what this process does, because you cook it for much less time. All of the vitamins are all much higher level, better in terms of their structure, your absorption of them. So crazy to me that this hasn't already like just completely flown through all of the UK ready meal landscape, because obviously ready meals tend to be thought of as like not good nutritionally. We sort of think of like it's just not a good category to shop in, so we're trying to like change that. But we then have snacks, because basically what we was like, can we take you from breakfast to bed if you wanted to make your life easy, with like clean label, natural, plant-based food that you enjoy, that's varied enough that you'll enjoy it. And so that's what we've developed, and so now we do it. So we have like these breakfast bowls, we have these amazing high protein crisps that are only made with chickpeas and 3 other ingredients, nothing unnatural on the label. We have a snack bar that has adaptogens in it. Like we have the ready meals. People love it. Like they'll do like 3 or 5 days a week and do that for 4 weeks. And again, I don't really believe in the subscription forever model. I think there are very few things that anyone needs delivered at the same time every month.
Like, agree. It goes back to what we were just saying about like flexibility. Like Let's not stress ourselves out. Like, have it when you need it, and not all the time. Like,
right.
Life changes all the time.
And I think, to your point about a cleanse twice a year, that's exactly what I want for our customers or community, is to come and do 4 weeks with us where you do 5 days a week, your weekends are your own, you'll lose some weight if that's a goal, or you won't because it's not what you want, but you'll eat clean, you'll eat healthy, and you'll feel so much better because of it. And that's what we're aiming for. We just want people, we talked about this week, basically if someone says how you doing and you've got loads of energy, you are doing well, like you are in a good mood. High energy tends to be good mood, and low energy tends to be bad mood. And so nutrition is the single way to control that, including caffeine or whatever you're putting in your body. Like, the idea is that everyone it can be calm, but it can be high energy, and I think that's what you're aiming for, which is everything to do with what you're eating and lifestyle too.
It's so interesting. I also think that, like, when you touched on ingredients, it's so fascinating because, like, nowadays it is shocking, like, what actually is in products.
But everyone's now starting to look.
Yeah, which is great.
It's awesome. Like, we were at the Green Club event thing we did with Liberty Mills, who's like an amazing nutritionist and holistic, like, sort of wellness expert. We were talking about gluten intolerances, right? And that's absolutely a thing. Everyone's on a spectrum of where they're, either not at all or highly, very, very, very allergic. But one thing that she would point out is that stabilizers are ever present in most food, like none in ours. But if you are gluten intolerant, you are most likely more allergic to stabilizers, or it's very likely, right? So what you have is a lot of people cutting gluten out, but then eating other foods that don't have gluten in but have stabilizers and still getting sick, and so it doesn't help them identify. And actually, she was like, that is such a big area that is. And what's cool is that you're now seeing, it's kind of, the health industry went from make the box white and people will think it's healthy, and sometimes low calorie, like, so Special K is a good example. It's actually quite high in sugar. But the Gene Size campaign was, it was probably before your guys' time. But
I remember it. So, on the packet, it was like a lady with like a tape measure.
Genius marketing at the time. Just probably not a vibe for today. But like that was the start, right? Which is like, you'd make the packaging look healthy. But the truth is, we knew it wasn't, or the industry. And I'm not a conspiracist. I'm just like a capitalist, as in I understand that's just how this works. Like, until the consumer becomes demanding, the businesses won't react. It's becoming more that businesses are starting to move anyway, which is great. So anyway, it started there. So then it went, so basically artificial, but maybe macro calorie, like healthy. And then it went to natural, but not healthy, i.e. high in sugar, high in salt, high in fat. There are some name brands, one of which has just sold, that I think is probably guilty of this, which I will not throw under the bus. But like,
I'll ask about that.
It uses a name that is highly credible, has put it onto the packaging of a health food business, and all of the stuff is just super high in sugar as everything that's been there for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, now it's just sold, so muzzle tov. But like, and then what is happening is, basically, if you look at the graph, everything is, and people's expectations are moving towards the goal, and the goal is natural, healthy. Yeah. And that requires clean label. It requires mostly plant-based. It requires all these things. And what's awesome is the consumer, for the first time, is now voting with their wallet and willing to pay for better for them. And that's kind of cool, because that's where we've been for 10 years, and it's where everyone now is. And that's awesome. It means, like, you're seeing that actually, and ultimately is awesome just for people, because, like, we can go into the whole thing about nutrition, the NHS. Like, not the NHS is bad, as in it's incredible, and the doctors are all amazing people, but nutrition is nowhere to be seen inside of our ecosystem when it comes to, like, the health practices in the UK, nor in America. And again, I don't take that as conspiracy. I just think it just never got brought in. And maybe there is conspiracy things around drugs and that side. But anyway, really just gone off topic there. Sorry.
No, interesting. But talking of health, and wellness, I want to touch on your own health and wellness. What journey?
Favorite topic, Ed. Great.
What journey have you been on?
What journey? Okay, so always did a lot of sports. Exercise was it. Diet was nothing. Is how I think. I think back to, like, probably the best shape I was ever in my life was probably when I was like, it was my first job. I was working at L'Oreal, and I remember, like, I was going to the gym like twice a day, but I was eating terribly. And so I was out training. You say it's hard to out train a bad diet. I was managing it, but my God, it would have been incredible if I'd just eaten the right stuff. Yeah. I would have had to work half as hard and looked better. So not look better. I would have been in what I was hoping for, which was to get really low body fat and I was playing rugby a lot of the time. And I just wanted to be in really strong and good shape. So always exercise, and then basically always exercise, then lived in America, nutrition started to be a thing. What are you eating? And you kind of, again, as a Brit, it's a bit like our teeth situation. The Americans all laugh at the fact we have terrible teeth in the UK. That has all improved, but it is a thing.
Yeah.
In America, everyone, dentistry and orthodontistry just seems to be a thing. I don't know why Americans, maybe because they just smile more.
Maybe.
We frown a lot, so the teeth are covered. But anyway, same thing with the nutrition side of stuff. And this is also, again, this is still limited to communities that are engaged in this, and is absolutely not representative of everyone in the UK or everyone in America. It's not everywhere. It's certainly usually in educated, privileged environments, right? That's where it starts, which is a shame, and that's what you're trying to do by building it up. But so journey. Then 3 years into press, because it was so hard and the work was 19 hours a day, losing money, so stressed and so viscerally unhappy. I was basically having a breakdown. I used to go and binge eat sweets. I would go from I lived in my brother's flat, which was round the corner from where our first juice bar was. I would honestly go and buy, weirdly had a big thing for Bassett's licorice all sorts at the time. I honestly think maybe I was deficient in something that's in licorice, maybe.
Interesting.
Because I've never before or after craved it. Super weird. Anyway, I'm not joking. I would have a pile of sweets, bags and bags of it, and just sit and go through my emails quietly for an hour and just get through it all. It was so gross. But it was the only joyful thing because I was so unhappy and so stressed. So I remember just thinking Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is sleep, sex, going to the loo, food, eating, breathing.
Yeah.
Those are the only things that would actually give me joy. And the irony is the breathing was the thing that actually saved me. I ended up meeting a guy on holiday who turned up to this yoga class, yoga class that the instructor didn't turn up. We were in it was me and my then girlfriend, and the instructor didn't turn up, and I was like, of course fucking the instructor didn't turn up. I was so unhappy. I was just I was going to do yoga, that was new for me, and the fucking guy doesn't turn up, obviously. It's all shit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't all shit, but it was stressful. You feel like that. So anyway, this random Dutch guy goes I could do a breathing class if you'd like, and he was Florally, his girlfriend, go and get the boombox, and I'm oh fuck this, fuck this, and then basically he does this Wim Hof breathing class, and he and his brother were the people who basically made Wim Hof famous. They heard him on the radio. They were you're fucking awesome. We need to make you famous because more people need to know about this. So anyway, he did a Wim Hof class. Halfway through, I burst out crying, fucking embarrassing level.
Oh my God.
Not sniffling, just quiet, intense weeping to myself. And I remember the thing going through my head was why me? I don't deserve this. I don't deserve to feel unhappy. I feel like I'm doing my best. I feel like I'm trying to be a good person. I'm so unhappy. And then afterwards I was oh my God, I feel after the Wim Hof, an hour of it, I was God, I've never felt calm like that in my whole life. I'm not a calm person. There's definitely a hyperactive child in here constantly trying to get out. And it was a mind-blown experience. And the next day I went and saw this stress management therapist. This hotel's incredible. It's called The Sanctuary, and you can stay for very little money. It's what the beach was originally based on. It was a community started by 3 people. It was a commune back in the 70s, and then slowly it's evolved into being a kind of a hotel, wellness hotel. But it's not Georgie. It's
where is it?
I feel it's on Koh Phangan or somewhere. Wow. But it's 3 bays round from where the full moon party is. But
nice.
Very chill. Food's beautiful. Anyway. So, and she was you've got. This is off topic, but it's so important in my journey. So my girlfriend was I'm going to go and see that heart healer that I saw when I came here before. And I was okay, how about that? Not about us? Okay, maybe, don't know. And then I was she said, go and see that clinical psychologist. She's seems lovely. And if nothing else, you're going to talk to a cool Dutch girl for I don't know why the Dutch are so prevalent in this story, but anyway, they're great. So anyway, talked to her, and she for half an hour, and then she was in between little crying, but I'd felt this thing the day before, oh my God, I can feel different just by doing something. Like, and I'd always done exercise, but the problem with exercise is it increases your adrenaline and cortisol, especially extreme exercise, which is what I was doing to try and get the endorphins, you know, to override for a little bit all the unhappiness, the stress, cortisol, adrenaline, but you're producing more of it. So it doesn't really help. It doesn't help with your sleep. Anyway, so the breathing thing, and she was like, yeah, you've got a fear complex. You're basically instinctual, like, you know, whatever set of systems, fight or flight systems are operating right now, you're basically operating only on those. So you basically are, as if a tiger is chasing you, you are doing that all the time. So that's why you're depleted, you're tired, all of those things. Like, breathing is the fastest way, factually the fastest way to get cortisol and adrenaline out of your body, you know, and that's gut breathing and all that stuff. So that made me believe in a much more holistic way. And I came back from that holiday, like, to our juice bars and to all our people, and was just like, so like, just advocating about just a 360 approach to wellness, you know, like, and leaning into the nutrition in a way that I hadn't before. I was a big believer in this, but like, I was also wanted to build a company too, you know. So today, like, now I'm kind of like, it's all exciting. Like, keep all the doors open, try all the different things. Some things work. I did like a really extreme breathing. What was that class? Do you know our not ambassador, our wellness Naomi? It's called like extreme breath work, let's just call it that.
Yeah.
Which I fucking hated. Like, I had to get I almost left, as in bionic breath work. I couldn't, it made me so uncomfortable. And she was like, that is an indicator though. Like, she's like, because she watches you all do it, and like, I was like struggling. You do this really intense breathing, and like, for some, you're purging all of this stuff, and like, it made me feel so uncomfortable. I actually wanted to leave the room, but I managed to get through it. And afterwards I talked to her, she's like, oh no, I could see you were having the worst time. Like, and she's like, you should continue to do it because it will work all of that out, all that stress and angst. But like, so you got to go after all of it. And like, you know, some of it's costly for sure. So like, you got to find the things that work for you. But from a wellness perspective, like, balance is everything, right? Like, and we talked about this, like, for some people, you know, everyone has their own balance, and that changes over time and under different circumstances, right? We're all very different, but mostly it's more our circumstances are different, our journeys are different. So different stages require different places for the pendulum. And we probably have totally different, also there are multiple facets of what the wellness journey looks like, but like, making time for it is key. Like, how am I feeling? And, you know, therapy is a massive part of that, like, which my mum is a therapist, been a big advocate of that. And again, sometimes you're in therapy, sometimes you don't need to be. Sometimes you go through a period where you don't need stuff, you're not developing or moving. And so you've got to lean into all of it, but also like just remember that there isn't the right solution. I will say that and obviously I would say this because I have a health food business, but like, at the very, very base of all of this is we are literally made of what we eat. Like, if you do not get that right, you have very, very little chance to build on top of all of those things. And I think we are so not knowledgeable or educated around, like, whether it's caffeine, whether it's like colorings, and there were these things that have been like, remember when like Smarties, they took the artificial colorings out because they were like, that's bad for kids. You're like, and everyone, like, it's not just kids, it's just that kids get even more hyper than grown-ups. But I think calm is what you're aiming for, and so you should have a diet that tries to get your body to be calm and process things in a normal way, and then you can build on top of that all the other things. Success
completely
top, so.
I think food, water, sleep, like basic principles.
Totally.
Also, that's kind of free.
Like,
obviously you pay for food, but like, it is relatively free.
Well, it's also much cheaper to eat well.
Oh my god, 100%.
Like,
my food bills are like probably cheaper than my brother's, who eats like meat, fish. You know.
Oh, they definitely will be.
I'm like, this is great, and I was, it's so expensive to be vegan. I'm like, well, it's
really
not
expensive to be vegan.
It's
Who
vegetables.
Is saying that?
Oh, you know, that's what people say. You know, it's like,
well,
oh,
is that because they're going and dining in vegan restaurants?
I also feel like people think, oh, like vegan.
It's not easy necessarily.
No, it's not easy.
But it is in London, to be honest. Going to the supermarket, and also, again, to be honest, today you've got ChatGPT and Google. Google was okay. ChatGPT literally can give you a diet for the whole week. Like, hopefully you're just using that to plan your week. Like,
I should actually.
I mean, that would just take out an hour or however long. It probably takes you no time. But like,
so
ChatGPT for everything.
It's insane.
So much quicker.
Yeah, it's insane. And I literally feel like we could keep talking. But
God,
we have to wrap this up. We have a final question, which again is bringing it all back to food.
Yeah.
Which is, what would your last meal be?
Oh.
Starter, main course, and dessert.
Yeah. I'm just gonna get all the things that I love in. So it's not necessarily a traditional starter, but I'd really like a really, really freaking spicy noodle dish to start.
Nice.
Okay. Main course, like sea bass with just like vegetables done like really sea bass.
Yeah.
What a wanker's answer. Like, what a dick. So sea bass.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And that's the thing. I'm a man of the people. So, and then dessert is, what is dessert? Dessert is like an M&S chocolate fondant with vanilla ice cream. Can't go wrong. I know that's so base, but it's great. Love it.
We love that.
Yeah.
Ed, thank you so much for coming and sharing the journey.
Yeah.
I think Press is on something really exciting. I think, I'm all here for it. I mean, the juices are great. Juice cleansers are great. Meals are great. I've had a few of them. I'm a big fan. So thank you so much for sharing it all.
Thank you so much.